Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1.
Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
All right, welcome into a Tuesday edition of the JP Peterson Show, where we viciously defend the First Amendment. I just have to say that since Joe Biden is in town today in Tampa, just to make sure that he knows that we're going to use our First Amendment rights today, and he cannot silence us with any of this other shenanigans. Good morning to you, Tim. IndyCar Tim, what's up with you, my friend? How are you?
Good morning. Good morning. Are they trying to take your guns away, JP, already?
No, we're doing First Amendment today. It was freedom of speech. Freedom of speech, which is what, we try to be non-political, right? We try to be non-political. But for me, as a talk show host, freedom of speech is essential to what we do. Is it not?
It's a little important, right?
Yeah, it's kind of important. And through the past few years, through various governmental agencies working with social media, they have tried to silence many of us. But despite what Stu Sternberg says, I will not be silenced by him. At least he can try, and he has many, many times. Yeah. But we keep talking, and we will keep talking until they shut us down, which they just might do. They just might do. They're not for lack of trying. But that's why we do what we do here, folks. And we thank all of our sponsors down below there that help us do what we do, including the Jeeves Law Group and our great friends at Hydrate Heroes as well. Hydrate Heroes, where we support the military with our 8 times the benefits in beverage. So we got all that stuff going this morning. We got lots to get to. The home teams are still struggling big time. So we need to give them a little bit of boost, and we'll get to all the shenanigans going on with the Bolts and the Rays. When the Bucs, of course, they're not struggling. They're trying to get better, and they will on Thursday night. Scott Reynolds is going to join us to talk about their final mock draft at Pewter Report. They're all over the draft, always are. Do a great job in kind of predicting what players and positions the Bucs will be going after. So we'll talk to Scott Reynolds. Lou Maggio is going to join us as well from the Tampa Sports Club. We got a great event coming up on June 5th as we have a absolutely all-star crew going into the Hall of Fame here locally. I'm privileged enough to MC that thing. So we get Steve Spurrier going in, Titus O'Neil, who I saw this weekend at the All-Star event. Tons of great folks going in. Aaron Andrews will be going in as well. Bruce Arians, tons of great folks. So that's going to be a great event. We want you guys to be a part of it. Lou's going to join us and talk a little bit about that. And we're going to get to some NBA as well. I was watching the NBA last night, Tim Ham, and
shocking,
two incredible games, the Sixers and the Knicks. Incredible finish there with the Knicks. I should say the 76ers blowing that game wide open. Everybody's bitching about the officiating, which you hate to hear, but there was definitely some mistakes made last night. The Lakers, God bless them, they have not beat the Nuggets in 9 times now, 10 times. Last night they had a 20-point lead. They blew that, and of course LeBron is blaming the officials because they blew a 20-point lead.
Typical.
Yeah, it's probably not where the fault should lie there, my friend. Actually, there probably isn't a whole lot of fault, but the way the Nuggets played down the stretch, and the Lakers played well, really well. LeBron played great. I mean, my goodness. There's nothing more that he could have done. Sometimes your opponent raises their level as well, and Jamal Murray makes a fadeaway at the buzzer. I mean, at the buzzer over AD, contested shot. Tip your cap, man. Instead of bitching about the refs, tip your cap to a great franchise in the Denver Nuggets and the team that they put together, the way they play. But it is interesting, and I kind of want to get your thought on this, Tim. Jonte Porter, of course, was kicked out of the NBA for his shenanigans with betting.
Yep. Now,
the article I read, the most thing that was eyebrow raising to me was the fact that his brother, right? Mm-hmm. The gambling thing in the NBA is a problem. So we'll shelve this for now because we'll talk about the games. But that is a problem for the NBA. There's no question about it. But last night, because you start thinking about these things when you watch these games. But last night, the Nuggets were absolutely fantastic down the stretch and made some big shots. And so did the Knicks. The Knicks, that was kind of a really, really cool environment there. All the stars at Madison Square Garden kind of waking up the echoes of yesteryear. And, I don't think the Knicks are, they're not going to win the championship, but they've got a scrappy team that's fun to watch with Brunson and DiVincenzo. That whole group, they're scrappy, and they played well last night, especially down the stretch. And Embiid's playing on one leg. I mean, that's kind of a problem. And, Maxi's playing really well for Philly, but that came down to a really cool final stretch where Brunson hits a three that bounces off the front of the rim, goes straight up in the air, and comes down in the bottom. I mean, that was just completely lucky bounce. They get that, and then on the inbounds, Maxey kind of fumbles the ball away. He had it. He regained it, could have called timeout, tried to. I guess they didn't give it to him because I think they thought the ball was still up for grabs. New York gets it. They miss a three, get the rebound, kick it back out for a three. DiVincenzo takes a second one and bangs it down. And in the end, the Sixers had a chance to tie with the three, but came up with a really bad shot. They could have done better. Yeah. But two great games last night, and kind of got me into watching a little bit of NBA playoffs now. So that was fun to watch. I watched a little bit of the Magic game, and they were just awful. They cannot make shots. They cannot make shots against the Cavs. The Magic have kind of won with defense for a large part of this year, but you got to score over 90 points if you're going to win a playoff game. And they're really, really bad right now offensively, which is sad because they've got some good players, but it just seems to me they're a team that hasn't been in the playoffs forever. And they got in, and they're kind of lost. They're not playing with the requisite intensity that they need to play with, and that's just experience. And they'll get that experience. They're young, so they need to get into the playoffs, see what it's all about. But right now, they have not answered the bell. Now, of course, playoffs don't start until somebody wins on somebody else's floor, right? So the Magic will come home for two and be able to. We'll see what they do when they're in the friendly confines. All right. But enough of that shenanigans. Let's talk about the worst team in baseball.
Are they?
They're bad. Dude, they're bad. They're not the worst team in baseball. Okay, that's a little bit of hyperbole. But, I mean, just in terms of entertainment value, brutal. Yeah, I mean, watching them play, they're sloppy on defense. Joey Cowboy and Yandy Diaz combined for a couple of errors last night in two critical situations when you're going up against Skubal, who's one of the best pitchers in the league, and he's going to make you look silly. But when you're a bad offense, he's going to make you even look worse. I think they got 3 hits off him in 6 innings, no runs. It's just this team early on, the only time they ever score runs is late. I mean, the first 8 innings is the most boring thing you'll ever watch in your life. It's just bad at bat after bad at bat. It's terrible. It's bad. It's just from an entertainment standpoint, it's horrible to watch. Horrible.
So I don't know if you're a big reader of the SB Nation site for the Tampa Bay Rays.
No, maybe I'll start.
Yeah, I mean, SB Nation's like one of these, franchise. They've got, a page for all the teams and all the sports and stuff. And I occasionally venture over there. We need some Rays news to come on your show and stuff. And I thought there's a writer over there named Elizabeth Strom who started her column off after the 7-1 loss to the Tigers. Her column yesterday, it started off like this. Friends, I'm sorry you deserve a great recap. You deserve to read about the highs and lows. You deserve clips of highlights and a few droll personal observations. I just don't have that in me tonight. For the moment, I'm so over this team.
That's a very, very concise. I saw my man El Bushman on Twitter, and he's the biggest Rays sycophant ever. And he's just like, this team's awful to watch. It's terrible. It's meh. And I'm like, yeah, Matt doesn't do it justice. It's just bad. It's bad baseball. I can't imagine paying to go see that crap last night on a Monday night at Tropicana Field, just zero atmosphere, nothing to cheer about whatsoever, paying $50 for a ticket and another $16 for a drink and a hot dog. And just like, this is entertainment. Are you kidding me? It's awful. It's awful. And here's the thing, when the Rays are playing well, you can justify, paying some money to go see them. But when their offense is as bad as this, when the team is as bad as it is, and that, we said this, you talk about building a new stadium for $2.4 billion of public money and putting it in the same location, the same failed location. And I said, and it's great when when you've been to the playoffs 5 years in a row, people, there could be a little bit of momentum. But the bottom line is, when you spend the way Stu Sternberg spends or don't spend, and even with your quote, $100 million payroll, which they're close, but not going to get there. It's bad baseball. And you're like, wait till you guys get bad again, because you will. Baseball is cyclical. Even the good franchises that actually spend money have under 500 seasons. A lot of them. Look at the freaking Dodgers. They're hovering around 500 with this, ridiculous payroll they have. But whatever, at least that team is fun to watch, though. Even when they're losing games, they're fun to watch because they score runs. This team is just dreadful. It's dreadful on every level. And Zach Littell has been awesome. His first 5 starts, he's been fantastic. But he's still a journeyman pitcher. And last night he looked like a journeyman pitcher. And that's what you get. So you get a journeyman pitcher, an offense that absolutely sucks, has no deep threats, nothing exciting to watch for the most part. Rosarena's in the freezer. Yandy Diaz is hitting 222. Thank God for Rosario, who they finally moved into the leadoff spot last night and has a 14-game hitting streak. Mm-hmm. If it wasn't for him, this team would never score a run. And thank God he signed with us instead of the Yankees. I mean, it's really, really bad. And and imagine spending all this money for a baseball stadium that the people in Pinellas don't go to, don't care about. And I saw something here. Thomas Casper said, Stu purchased a fake poll from Florida Politics, 500 sample, all in favor. I haven't seen this. Please direct me with a link. I want to see this, because there's no support at all for this in Pinellas, and any support you see is completely manufactured by the Rays, where they pay some group off, go to their event, and give them a check and say, "Oh, come out in favor of us." And there's no grassroots support whatsoever for this Rays stadium, none. And the more it comes out, the numbers, the more people despise it. And then when you watch this team play, it's a bad situation right now.
So, in the grand scheme of things, when you look at the big picture, look, it's still early in this. What, they're 20, a little more than 20 games in. Yeah. The Rays are 500. You're in last place in your division, but your division's not great, by the way. The Orioles aren't going to be what they were last year. They're not winning in what they won 102 games or whatever.
104 games, yeah, I think last year. Yeah.
The Rays won 99. I remember.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's getting there in that division this year. There's still time. I mean, you guys believe in the manager over there.
He's the best.
Cash.
He's the best.
Yeah,
but he's working with toilet paper.
Right. I wanted to ask you this. I wasn't going to do it this early in the show, but I'll do it now. Do you think there's any sort of tanking going on from ownership, like doing this on purpose?
Well, no, because this has been their MO. They don't spend money. They never have, but they never went out. They didn't go out and get anybody this year. Their payroll increase is just a product of having arbitration players reaching further on in their years. All these players are still, if they were, if Rosarena was on the open market, even though he's sucking right now, he would be making twice what he's making. Same with Yandy Diaz.
Right.
But they're just, so this is not like, management went out and spent a bunch of money on a bunch of players. They didn't do it. They didn't spend any money on anybody. I think Matan is the only one they spent maybe $6 million on. They went out and got nobody. They didn't go out and spend money. So it's not a different approach from management whatsoever. Right. And then again, why would they want to tank if they're trying to get a new stadium? I mean, you want your team, if you're going to bilk the public out of $2.4 billion, you want it to make it look as fake as possible. And I'm saying tongue in cheek, you want to be good. You want to be creating some excitement, so that these politicians will wave their pennants and go, "Woo, yeah, let's spend $2.4 billion of our money we don't have, woo, on a stadium in a failed location, woo." Yeah, I mean, It's the most ridiculous thing ever, especially in this climate, in this political climate. I can't, we're nowhere around the United States, or not even in Kansas City, where they're winning championships and Super Bowls. Can you get the public to step up and pay significant amounts? They can't do it in Oakland. Doesn't want to do it. Oakland doesn't want to do it. Las Vegas doesn't want to do it. I mean, does Nashville really want to do it? Okay, let's who's ponying up the $2 billion expansion fee plus another $1.5 billion for the stadium? Who's doing that? Let's see the money before, everybody can say we want baseball. Well, show me the money. And so, look, to me, this is what happens when you have years and years of disingenuousness with your fans, when you lie to your fans, when you blame your fans, when you tell them that you're not a major league city, that you tell them what we need another city in Montreal, that we're going to move here, we're going to move there. And then you suddenly, oh yes, this looks like a great opportunity because you're selling me the property at 1/7 the value, right. And then I'm just going to resell it to Heinz and take the money and run. And that's I sit here and I bitch and moan and I tell you to go sign the position at nohomerun.org or .com. So go sign the petition, and don't let it happen. Well, we're going to lose baseball then, JP. No, we're not. They're not leaving the 11th largest market. They're just going to turn to Tampa, where they have to do a fair deal. And there is money in Tampa to build a stadium, but it's a true public-private partnership, not some boondoggle that's just going to stuff money into a billionaire's pocket that the city of St. Petersburg and Pinellas don't have to spend. And that's where if baseball does survive, and frankly, folks, if it doesn't survive in Tampa Bay, you don't want to do a deal like this just to have baseball for 3% of the population or so that uses the baseball stadium in Pinellas, to spend an inordinate amount of your budget on a baseball team, and in a failed location, by the way. If this was working, if people were coming out to see the team and streaming into Tropicana Field, then you could see some worth into it. And that's when they're winning, and they're going to have some down years. There was an announced crowd of 13,000 last night. I doubt it was over, actually butts and seats over 10,000. Wow. Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. And it's only going to get worse because there's, is Josh Lowe going to come save this team? God, I hope so. They got to get somebody in that lineup that's scary, because right now they don't have anybody. And they could have gone out and gotten any number of players and actually spent money and put some juice into this team, and they chose not to. Why? And you think that's going to change if Stu Sternberg stays the owner of this team? And is there anything in this contract that says he's got to stay here for 30 years? As of 2 weeks ago, there wasn't. Is there anything in the contract that compels him to do all the stuff that they say they're going to do? Nope. Not, because we haven't even seen the contract yet. Nobody's seen a finalized contract. Nobody. Not even the city council. So, it's a boring team. It's a terrible organization. It's an owner that's flipped off the fans forever. And we want to sit here and lay out the red carpet and give him $2.4 billion in public money. It's the most ridiculous thing ever. And the team sucks. And it's terrible to watch. I hate saying that because I love the players and I want to see them do well. But this is just really, really bad baseball. As Lou Piniella once said, it's really bad baseball.
Oh, Lou Piniella.
Yes, the great Lou Piniella.
But you guys aren't anticipating a playoff run this year then?
From the Rays?
Yeah.
And no.
I don't think they're as bad as they are right now. I don't think
the Orioles are a very good team. Much better lineup than the Rays. I would agree with them there.
Yeah, but they're not what they were last year.
Not yet. Not yet. The Rays lineup is a total joke. Ownership has ruined any chances of ever competing for a World Series. Sad state of affairs. I agree wholeheartedly. James, Bucs Basement says, I'm glad the Rays are circling the drain. That way Stu can sell that stupid BS. They compete to make the playoffs anymore. Sell the team, Stu. Yeah, I mean, that has kept them, with any modicum of credibility, is making the playoffs in the regular season. And they've done a great job. Their baseball people are amazing. You imagine with Eric Neander what he could do with an actual real average payroll in this league, they'd be winning World Series. And that's why when he was asked, whether he's going to sign, this player or that player, he said, you're talking to the wrong guy. I'd love to sign all of them. He didn't say that. He said, but, in essence, hey, you're talking to the wrong guy. I would love to sign him, but my hands are tied behind my back. Yes. Right. Yeah, it's awful. Yes, I see you, Kenneth. Absolutely, brother. 100%. Where does Tim Ham like to sit when watching the Cowboys play in Dallas?
Well, they play in Arlington, unfortunately. They don't play in Dallas anymore. They haven't for a long time. You don't
consider that just Dallas? Are you one of these provincialists that has to name the actual little city that does the Dallas Cowboys play in Arlington? No, they play in Dallas, not the Metroplex.
No, not like that. Not necessarily like that. Now, when they played in Irving prior to in between 71 and 09 at the old Texas Stadium, you could see the Dallas skyline from the stadium, right? They were still within shouting distance of Dallas. I get it. But you're 20 plus miles outside of downtown now. You're probably physically closer to Fort Worth now at this point. But yes, of course, they're still the Dallas Cowboys. I'm not going to mention, logistics here, but so I don't go to games very often. When I do, I sit in the press box because it's like going to a freaking 5-star resort hotel for me there at AT&T Stadium because Jerry takes really good care of the press. So
why would you not? If you could get a credential, why would you not every game?
Yeah, it's just it's pretty far for me. It's almost an hour drive out there for me.
Yeah, that's right. It is.
And it's just traffic, man. I hate dealing with traffic and I hate people. I genuinely hate people and being around people. I really, every time I go, people want to talk to me and then, hey, you come on our radio show and talk Cowboys, okay. But I really don't want to, but it's just, I enjoy sitting on the couch with my laptop in front of me, watching the game by myself. If the kids want to come in and watch with me, that's great.
Just shut the hell up. Don't talk to me.
Yeah. I used to go over to people's houses. They'd have watching parties, like just for regular season games, right? You can't concentrate
on the game when you're at a party.
No. Everybody's talking. Nobody's paying attention. I just can't freaking do it anymore. I'm beyond that. So my preference is by myself, to be quite honest. That's where I want to
go. The Bucs press box is very much the same. It's just it's like a 5-star hotel, and they treat us great. Every once in a while, you'll get some media members that like to drone on in the press box about stuff that has nothing to do with football. Even though they have to go do a post-game show to talk about it. They just sit there and talk about what they ate and nobody cares. And it's like, it literally drives me nuts when people in the press box are sitting there talking, having full-on loud conversations about stuff that has nothing to do with football, has nothing to do with the game. It makes me crazy. But
people are working here. This is our job.
Exactly. For working here, we don't care what you had for breakfast. We really don't. We're just, or who you saw, last night or yesterday or whatever. If you want to talk about the football game, we can stay in that. But you should, people are working. We're having we're trying to take notes and make mental notes and do the things that we need to do. We don't need all these. So yeah, I agree with you. But for the most part, the Bucs press box is pristine. It's a great place to watch the game. It's mostly business. You have a few members that think they're so important that they have to have these conversations. But for the most part, it's pretty good. So but for road games, no, I'm not going out to bars to watch the games or do anything. I'm using my I'm going back and forth with my remote control, trying to see what, during the commercial breaks to see what we just saw, what's going on, so I can make my snarky comments on Twitter. But
right. You have expectations, JP. People look for that stuff from you. You have to live up to it.
Exactly.
Snarky comments.
My snarky comments are what people live for, if nothing else. All right, now let's turn our attention to the Tampa Bay Lightning and some very snarky comments there. So a lot of the conversation, I've been following on Twitter and some other columnists and what have you, it's centering around the officiating, which I hate to get into that stuff because, as Nick Paul said when asked about his egregious penalty, that was just a joke. There was 116 hits in the game. At least 4 of them came on Nikita Kucherov when the puck was, half a mile away. No calls.
Yeah.
And then, at the end of the second period, Nick Paul goes behind and there's 2 guys fighting for a puck. One falls down and there's a call on the other. Like what? Like 2 guys fighting for a puck and somebody falls down and they're in close contact with, unless you cross-check the guy, how do you call a penalty there? Because one of the guys fell down because he was smaller. Like how do you call a penalty there in a game like this where you're swallowing the whistle. There's 116 hits in the game, and that brush by somebody falling down, you're going to call a penalty, and that's going to turn out to be, the difference in the game. Now, listen, and this is where I get kind of, iffy about bitching about the officiating. The Lightning gave up a power play there that they shouldn't have given up. A guy just walks in behind you, and you allow him to score in the back door. That's bad defense. That's a bad. Yes, was it a bad call? It was a terrible call. Is it bad defense? Yeah, it's terrible defense. You need to be better in that moment. And 5v5, the Lightning played pretty damn well. And I think they should be encouraged by that. Mm-hmm. Except in the third period, it just didn't feel like they could mount any sustained pressure. I feel like they lost a lot of puck battles that they need to win if they're going to win this series. I think the Lightning can. I read some things that say the Lightning played pretty well. I think the numbers would tell you that. My eyes tell me differently. My eyes tell me I think the Lightning have a lot better in them. I really do. I think they have more intensity in them. I think they'll make some adjustments that from a technical standpoint will help them get the puck out of their end a little bit quicker and move it and get it into the Panthers' end and sustain a little bit of pressure. Now, sustaining the pressure is going to just take a more ferocious forecheck and a more aggressive forecheck, which they can and will do. I clearly expect that in game 2. But I don't want to get all messed up about the officiating. Now, it sucks that the Panthers are the most penalized team in hockey in 60 minutes, okay? The Lightning have the number 1 power play in the game, okay? This should come into play. This should come into play during the playoffs, all right? You should call the game like you call it in the regular season. And you can go look at the numbers and say, oh, there's not that many. There's fewer penalty. There's, just a little bit fewer penalties in the playoffs. That's a conglomerate of all of the calls. And then part of that is look at this game 1. You get a makeup call with 32 seconds left. It's a complete BS. And that tilts the numbers to make it look more even when it wasn't. It wasn't even close to even. Again, 116 hits in a game and the Lightning get 1 power play. 1 power play. Now, and you say you want me to cite examples, I went all through that tape and probably saw about 9 or 10 different points where they could have called interference for late hits by the Panthers. And a few of them on Kucherov. Easily could have been called. But again, you're getting into that. But all I ask is just call it like the regular season. They're the most penalized team. We have the number 1 power play. That should come into play. It should come into. What are they suddenly not? They're not going to be aggressive. The Panthers, like I said, it was 116 hits in the game. And it was even. What are we doing?
And I feel like aggressive teams in the regular season kind of up their game a little bit in the postseason, right? They're going to be a little bit more aggressive.
Thank you.
So you have to expect that as an official, right? You got to be looking for that, but you can't call it any different because that's how they got there. You can't take away one of their biggest strengths of their team that got them to the playoffs and not let them be aggressive now.
Right.
And look, overall, everybody bitches about the refereeing and officiating in every sport, right? I feel like the NBA is by far the absolute worst officiated league.
And it's hard to officiate.
And it's hard.
These replays of fouls is just the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
The dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
It should not be reviewable.
We want to review, who the ball went off. I can deal with that. But we're going back and adjudicating a foul in those situations is just ridiculous. And it takes up so much time. And it's just, and you never know what the outcome's going to be. Like I saw a foul yesterday, and it was in the Sixers game where they called a foul and they called it on Lowry. And it was clearly, it was clearly a foul on Embiid. Well, when they reviewed it, they said, oh, Lowry hit the ball. Well, what about Embiid? Embiid hit him in the face with his hand. So you can't change the call to another guy. Well, what are we doing then?
Then why do it? Yeah.
What are we doing? He got fouled. You just missed. You couldn't tell which hand it was because they move at lightning speed. But clearly the dude was fouled. He had the ball on a rebound. 2 guys face raked him, and he lost the ball. And then it was the other guy that face raked him. Well, what? Anyway, so that
It's all very pointless, and it's slowing down the game. You know, it does it I feel like the NFL is inching more closer to.
Oh no, the NFL far surpassed that a long time ago. It's brutal the way they do the replays. So
it's everything now, right?
Yeah. All right. Speaking of the NFL, Scott Reynolds is going to join us from the Pewter Report. So we'll take a quick break and we'll come back and we'll talk all things NFL draft with Scott Reynolds. The Pewter Report guys do the best job in terms of get you ready for the draft. So we'll chat with Scotty Reynolds about their final mock draft and see where he thinks the Bucs are going. We're brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVESLawgroup.com. They are local, they are trusted, and they get results. Scott Jeeves, great dude, had him on the show last week. He will take care of you, and his lawyers there will take care of you, and they'll make you feel important because you are important. You're a treasure. Don't get caught up in one of these big firms that don't even call Tampa home, where Scott Jeeves has called Tampa and St. Petersburg home for 30-plus years. The Jeeves Law Group, JEEVESLawgroup.com. Back in 3. JP here for my friends at your local Synovus Bank, and I do mean friends, and I do mean local. One of the local managers in Tampa is John Acosta, big fan of the show, and I've known him for over 40 years. He's been in local banking since 1983. You talk about developing relationships. You don't stick around for that long unless you're doing things the right way and have a great reputation, and that's the focus company-wide at Synovus. Big enough to handle any complex international transaction, but small enough to answer the phone when you have an urgent question about your business or personal account. And for personal accounts, they have a very easy app that works great. You can do everything online. And for large or small businesses, you will get that personal touch and services to help build your business, taking your dreams and aspirations from the whiteboard to reality. We can make that happen. Let us show you how. For a get-acquainted meeting to open a business or personal account, just call John or go to synovus.com to find out where your local branch is. Everyone knows Italiano Insurance is your go-to for home insurance, but they also have an amazing team that focuses on business insurance. Yes, your business is most likely your biggest asset, so make sure you have the right coverage at the most competitive price. And if you started a side hustle recently, don't forget you need business insurance, because if you get sued in this over-litigious society we live in, you could lose all your personal wealth. So get that business insurance. And for the best customer service, always choose Italiano. My representative, Charity, is amazing. I called her late on a Friday because my insurance was going to lapse. She stayed late until the job was done. You just don't find that anymore. Give them a call, 813-877-7799. That's 813-877-7799. Italiano Insurance. JP here for the Geddes Gordon Real Estate Group and our good friend Jane Geddes. Folks, simply put, there is nobody like Jane. Jane is a former LPGA two-time major championship winner. She was also vice president of talent relations at WWE. She also has a law degree from Stetson. So if Jane can drain a 10-footer to win the U.S. Open and stare down Hulk Hogan in the boardroom, you want Jane on your real estate team to not only negotiate the best deal, but find you the perfect home or investment property. And when you work with the Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of the real estate family and get concierge services that include expertly staging, marketing, and preparing your home for sale. Advice on golf properties. Hey, you might even get some golf tips. Many of their clients become friends long after the sale or purchase is completed. It's all part of the deal. So if you're looking for that perfect home or investment property or try to get top dollar for your home, go with Jane Geddes and the Geddes Gordon Group, because there's nobody like Jane. Call 813-485-6808 or go to geddesgordon.kw.com. That's GEDDES Gordon.kw.com. or call 813-485-6808.
With over 34 years of producing small and large events, Extravaganza Productions is truly a Tampa treasure when it comes to creating some of the very best events in Tampa and all across the United States. I've worked with them at the Florida Sports Hall of Fame inductions, the Warrior Games, which was an Olympic-sized event spread across all of Tampa Bay. They are the very best, from small meetings to exceptionally large corporate conferences to galas, fundraisers, sporting events, grand openings, whatever you want. Team EPI has an extremely talented staff of designers and show producers that develop extraordinary events fueled by the visions of their clients. You can reach them at their Tampa headquarters at 813-621-4700 or go to extravaganzaproductions.com.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here on this Draft Week Tuesday. We're getting close, folks, and it is cannot wait to see what goes down on Thursday night. We're presented by Hydrate Heroes. You see my beautiful hat right there. Need to get you one of these hats as well, Timmy. Look at the colors there.
I'll take it.
Yeah. Good stuff. All right.
I had to switch hats during the break.
I see that. That last one would look like an A's hat. What is this one?
That was my Minnesota North Stars.
This is a North Star. Okay.
Yep. And now I've got my Montreal Canadiens.
Oh.
Les Habitants Canadiens.
The North Stars, have they won a cup since the Canadians won a cup? And they're defunct franchise?
Well, the Stars won one in 99. Okay. The
That's
Canadians'
right.
last one was 93. So
That's right. All right, let's get done with the hockey talk and bring in our man, Scott Reynolds from the Pewter Report, who just finished his final mock draft, 7-round mock draft for Pewter Report. What's up, partner? How are you?
I'm feeling a little naked today without my hat. So
Well, you've got decent hair. See, I don't have a choice.
You've got hair. You don't need a hat.
I'm having a good hair day.
Yeah. Fantastic. Look,
Cool.
look
I
at
appreciate
the volume on that thing, man. Look at that.
I'm impressed.
Very nice.
Got a little gray in the front there, which is
Oh, you like that?
well, it's distinguished, right?
Yeah,
I got a little bit of gray down here, right? So I'm kind of getting a distinguished look down here.
Yes, Gandalf. You have a little bit of gray there. Absolutely.
I've been called worse.
All right. So, partner, as I was perusing your mock draft, I looked at that first pick and I said, absolutely 100%.
Yeah.
That is the guy in this draft that will actually possibly be there where they got to move up to get and can do it.
Yeah.
That's going to make this team better. I mean,
Jackson Powers Johnson. Yeah.
Jackson Powers Johnson. Tell us all about him.
I mean, he's Ryan Jensen 2.0. I remember talking to him at the combine, and that's one of the players he emulates. He's a finisher. He's nasty. He's a tone setter, and he's a bigger guy, 6'3", 323 pounds. I think Jensen was 6'4", about 325, 330. So kind of in that same vein.
Yeah.
Just a bigger dude than Robert Hainsey. And Robert Hainsey's been serviceable. He's smart. Right, he makes the line calls. He's just limited physically,
right?
And gave up 5 sacks last year. It struggles one-on-one, right? When you have kind of a bare front or something, and you got that player directly in front of him, and that's what Todd Bowles likes to do sometimes. Not a lot of bare fronts, but he'll put Vita Vea lined up on the center, and try to make that center have to block somebody, not be able to just double team with the guard. And I think that's where Robert Hainsey has excelled. He's good at the double teams because he needs help himself, right? He helps others, but one-on-one, that's where he can get exposed. So to me, getting a player that can set the tone, and listen, it's no surprise, right? The Bucs have had the worst running game in the league the last 2 years. What's the common denominator? Most times people look at the back. It's not just the back. It's everything. It's the offensive line. It's the tight ends. It's the wide receivers. The whole running game is not just the running back. Rachaad White picked up his pace, was hitting the holes, seeing the holes better in the second half of the season. That's why you saw some improvement there. But the reason why it's taken a step back the last 2 years, no Ryan Jensen, right?
It's the center.
That's the tip of the spear. It just is. And so, to me, I think if you upgrade that position, get more physicality, more run blocking, prowess up front, you're going to see the numbers in that running game grow. And I think that, combined with the fact that Liam Cohen is going to be allowing Baker Mayfield the ability to call more audibles at the line of scrimmage, right? That's something that really Baker was a little handicapped at doing last year.
Right.
And so I think at times we saw, the Buccaneers run on first down, maybe not as predictably as they did under Byron Leftwich, but we saw them run into some loaded fronts. And you're kind of like, wow, man, Canales is really force feeding the running game. He's forcing the issue.
Up the middle. Yeah. Between the tackles and the interior line is not good.
Correct. And then having the ability for Baker Mayfield to check out of a run play into a pass play, or check to a different run, right? Like, hey, let's just go toss left and attack the perimeter because they're stacking the box here. We're going to run to the left, where Tristan, all he has to do is just take a huge step and then kind of pivot that way, and then allow the edge to be gained. I think that is important. But even within the ability to have Baker Mayfield make some of those audibles at the line of scrimmage and change the running plays, having that tip of the spear be improved, sharpened with a better center like Jackson Powers Johnson would be huge.
I think when I looked at the tape, and this is one of the things I love looking at when I watch tape, is why is the running game not working? Why? Look, what's going on? And when you watch, especially on the all-22, and it's not just, by the way, it wasn't just Hainsey. It was left guard, right guard, center. That interior part of the line. If it wasn't Hainsey, it was the left guard. If it wasn't, if it wasn't the left guard, it was Cody Mount. Somebody every single time was penetrating inside.
Or K. Dotton, the tight end sometimes.
Yeah, or K. Dotton. I mean, it just there was one or two breakdowns on every single running play when guys were getting beat off the ball, allowing penetration. There's no back in the league, and I say no back in the league that is going to consistently gain yards. When I think the number was 1.9. yards before contact, which was the lowest in the league. I mean, it's ridiculous. You cannot run the football that way. And so I think the Bucs are absolutely zero. They've already done it in free agency, right? With the two bigger guys they picked up. And then they believe Cody's going to be, better in year two. And I think he will too.
I think he will.
And then so that becomes the center position. It makes your running game better, makes your passing game better. What is his PFF grade? 90.6. Jackson Powers Johnson in pass blocking, 86 in the run game. I mean, this guy makes things work. And for Baker Mayfield, who you had Cosell on your podcast, great podcast with Greg Cosell, and he talks about him being he's a step thrower. He's got to be able to step into the ball.
Exactly.
And when you're getting pressure in your face because your center can't hold up, you can't step and throw. So that's why I think the position makes the Bucs so much better on so many levels. And that even helps your defense.
It does, yeah. And with 7 picks, and this is a deep interior offensive line draft, I fully expect the Buccaneers to draft a left guard and draft the center. That's two positions you can fill right here. Now, it does come with some risk. It does come with some potential peril, right? It's not ideal to have rookie, and then second-year right guard, right? Like that's not ideal in any circumstance. So I do credit Jason Light for at least raising the floor of the backups, right?
Yes.
Sua Opeta, he's better than Nick Leverett, right? He's better than Aaron Stinney. Right. How much better? It might be like a smidge, but it is better. Ben Bredesen might be as good or better than Robert Hainsey. We'll find out in camp. So again, but better than Nick Leverett was as a backup center. So having said that, when you look at the fact that they have a couple veteran options just in case there's a Gedeke scenario, right? Where Gedeke, they tried him at left guard with great intentions, and it just didn't work out, right? It didn't work out like it did with Kappa, like it did with Marpet. And like, I mean, say what you want about Cody Mount. He had a better rookie year at a right guard, moving from left tackle than Lou Gedeke had, moving from right tackle as a Central Michigan player to left guard in the NFL, right? It was better. So in case it doesn't work out with whatever player they draft, that rookie's not ready, then at least you have a couple of veterans that you could turn to that are going to be better than what you had last year from a depth standpoint. So I like the backup plan. And again, sometimes, I mean, Ali Marpet was damn good as a rookie, right? Tristan Wirfs was damn good as a rookie. So sometimes you can draft that rookie offensive lineman who steps in and just doesn't play like a rookie, plays like a veteran. So you have to think that, especially with the first round pick, I mean, whether it's a Graham Barton who could come in and play left guard or Jackson Powers Johnson who could come in and be a center, having either one of those guys, you would expect in the first round, they're probably more pro ready. Not going to be perfect. They're not going to, be as flawless maybe as Tristan Wirfs was, but gosh, if you could land another Marpet, and I think that's what kind of Graham Barton is. I think he's Ali Marpet 2.0, and you've got Jackson Powers Johnson, who's Ryan Jensen 2.0. You can get one of those guys in there and then find another either guard or center, whichever position you're not drafting early, like in the third round, where Jason Light's mined that round before. Alex Kappa was the third round pick. He was a pretty good player. Then I think, you live with that and you say, Baker,
No,
the talent's better.
Yes.
You might have to do a little scrambling and work that pocket a little bit to avoid some big bodies coming your way on occasion, but it should be better than Filer, Stinney, Hainsey was last year at that left side.
Scott, how confident are you that Powers Johnson's going to be there at what did the Bucs pick 26?
Yeah.
So I have it on good authority that 2 picks in front of them.
Yeah.
The Cowboys are really high on him and Barton. Like, I'm not sure either one of those guys are going to be there by then. Would they trade up?
Yeah, they could, and that's kind of why I asked Jason Light that question in the pre-draft press conference. Sometimes Jason is very guarded. Sometimes he actually tells you the truth. You know, I would love to play Jason Light in poker. I think I've told you guys that before. I would kill him, and I'm not that good at poker, but I can read his face and know when to fold and when to to ante up and all of that. So having said that, what I asked him was, when do you start considering trading? Is that like when you're like on the clock, or a few picks before, whether you're trading up or trading back? That was my question. And he said, no, we're starting that process right now, right? We're doing the mock drafts and the scenarios, right? We're going through all of that, so we don't have to do it on draft day. And he didn't really understand my question, but then he kind of answered it. He says, so we'll know about pick number 20, kind of what we're doing, right? Because then you're looking at, okay, 6 more picks to Tampa, right? 21, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you got 6 more picks until the Bucs are on the clock. You can kind of look at the cluster, the grouping, the pool of how many players that you have first round grades on are left in that pool. It might be 1, it might be 4, it might be 5, right? Then you can kind of make those calculations. Well, we know this team in front of us is not going to draft from this pool. We know this team ahead of us will draft one from one of these guys in our pool, right? And then you can kind of make some calculations. Like, for example, last year, Kalijah Kancey was the only player left at number 19 that the Bucs had in that pool. If Kalijah was gone by then, they're probably going to trade down. And so that number 20 is very interesting because who picks at 20? The Pittsburgh Steelers, right? So I think the biggest threats to Jackson Powers Johnson and Graham Barton not being available at 26, you have to look at Seattle, first of all, at number 16. And they could very well go defensive tackle or edge rusher, right? They could go Liatu Latu. They could go Byron Murphy or Johnny Newton. But if they don't, they'll probably grab an offensive lineman. Then you look at the Steelers at number 20. Are they going to go offensive tackle like Amarius Mims, or are they going to go interior offensive line like Jackson Powers Johnson? So that's pretty telling. That tells me that they're looking offensive line in the first round, and they are, zeroing in and saying, well, if Pittsburgh passes, then it might be a situation where if 1 or 2 of those guys are on the board, then we have to get ahead of Dallas, right? We've got to jump ahead. And maybe the Eagles too. They got to replace Jason Kelce, right? Yeah. So some teams just don't draft centers in the first round. It's typically a position that you wait until later in the draft.
Sal Powell told me he doesn't think the Eagles are going to draft a center with their first pick.
So then I think the biggest thing is get ahead of Dallas, right? Now, if both of those guys are there, Graham Barton and Jackson Powers Johnson, then you say, all right, Dallas is going to take 1, and man, we're going to have the other one coming right to us.
And that's a good point to bring Tim in here. Does Dallas want a tackle or do they want a center? And here's the thing, because if they haven't decided yet, they could draft Barton, who just played tackle for Duke he can play tackle and he played center in his 2020 season at Duke, but so he can play both. Would they be more prone to taking Barton, or would they look at Jackson Powers Johnson?
I think that the versatility to play both positions is appealing to Dallas. I just don't know, as highly graded as they have Powers Johnson, I don't think they would pick Barton over him based on that. I think they're going to go with the best player at his position available because they do have holes to fill. They got to fill center and they got to fill a tackle position. Right. You probably need depth later in the draft, at all of those. So I don't think they would take Barton over Powers Johnson. They would go with the best one.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, and that's what makes the drafts so fun, because there's unpredictability, right? That happens, that causes a chain reaction. You see runs sometimes, right, where teams start to panic and say, we're zeroed in on this guy. Holy smokes, these offensive tackles are coming off the board. Like there were 2 guys taken in the first 22 picks that we thought would be there in the second round for us. So we've got to draft a tackle right now, right?
Right. That's where you make mistakes.
Exactly. And so that happens, though. The Bucs have been guilty of that a couple of times.
Yes, they have. Yeah.
And one of the things that I mentioned on my podcast yesterday, too, that I want to mention here with you guys is this is going to be a really interesting draft for Jason Light. He's done much better inside the top 20, right? You look at Vita Vea, moving down a couple spots, still getting Vita Vea at 12, right? Obviously, let's rewind. Let's go back to 2014, his first ever pick, number 7, Mike Evans, right?
He's pretty good.
Mike Evans over Aaron Donald. And I think that you could make a case that you couldn't have gone wrong either way. But at the same time, Mike Evans is still playing. Aaron Donald is retired, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to mess up. You don't want to mess up history because you have a Super Bowl with Mike Evans.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Donald only has 1 Super Bowl too, so it's kind of a wash. But then it's like you look at Jameis Winston. You can't fault the process at the time. They needed a quarterback. And Jameis, let's put it this way, Jameis would be a phenomenal NFL quarterback if not for the interceptions. That's it. If he could have cured the turnover bug, he would have been a phenomenal quarterback. I'm not saying like elite Hall of Famer, but he would have been a guy that's a Kirk Cousins type, a perennial Pro Bowl type guy.
Yeah.
The O.J. Howard pick, okay. We all know it was a swing and a miss with Vernon Hargraves, but he's a Gator. What do you expect, right? That was for you, JP.
That should have been the first red flag. I mean, what are we doing?
Yeah. He's at the wrong Florida University. But
that's right.
The Vita Vea, right?
We whiffed on a knoll again. I don't think Jameis was a whiff. I think that was there was some good stuff there.
The process was good. Like sometimes the pick just doesn't work out. But but where you get screwed up is when the process gets screwed up. When you're reaching for a guy, when you're not taking the best player available, that's bad process. But getting the top overall quarterback when you need a quarterback, that there's nothing wrong with that.
And it wasn't like Mariota was the right choice either.
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't think was there any quarterback in that draft worth of crap?
No, that was it. Those two guys really. Mm-hmm. So having said that, then you look at obviously 13. They traded up to get Tristan Wirfs, another home run, Mike Evans type pick. Oof. And then last year, number 19, right? That's Kalijah Kancey. I think that's a good pick that can turn into being a great pick depending on the trajectory of his career, right? So he's done better inside the 20, even number 5 overall. Say what you want about Devin White. The first 2 years were really good.
Yeah.
Up to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
It just
his head
got scrambled, and the ego took over, and he kind of self-sabotaged his game.
Yeah.
But much better inside the top 20. He's only had 2
take
picks.
Josh Allen that year, man.
Oh yeah, no, I understand. But there's 2 picks that he's ever made outside of the top 20, and that was Joe Tryon-Schwenka at number 32 in the first round of the 2021 draft, and then the next year they traded out of the first round, but there wasn't a lot of great options, and they picked Logan Hall at the top of the second round. So inside the top 20, he's done much better.
Yeah.
And then outside of the top 20 with JTS and Logan Hall in back-to-back years, they're looking to replace those players. So you have to say that those were not good first-round picks. And guess what? They're picking outside the top 20 again at number 26. So can Jason Light find some of that top 20 magic and extend it to 26? We'll see.
Well, he needs to add one metric to avoid the JTS mistake again.
Yeah.
To his draft boards. There's a metric that they did not have at that particular time that hopefully they've added by listening to this show. And go on the Instagram. If there's over 2 shirtless pictures, off the board. Off the board, especially for a lineman.
Right.
Especially for a lineman.
Wow.
Outside lineman, if there's more than 2 shirtless pictures, get rid of them. They're not because the fat guys play well on the line.
Yeah.
And the fat guys don't take shirtless.
If you're gonna be topless, if you're a topless defensive lineman on Instagram,
off the board.
You should look well. No. I'm just saying you should look like Jason Kelsey, right? Or Burt Kreischer, right?
Yes.
Like if you've got that type of body and you're a defensive lineman and you're shirtless on Instagram, you better look like Jason Kelsey taking off his shirt or Burt Kreischer taking off his, right?
There's a caveat. There's a caveat. So yes, absolutely.
JP, are you saying this is why I've never been drafted in the NFL?
Exactly.
Take your shirt off, Tim. That's it.
I got lots more than 2.
You have a better chance of having the physique of a stand-up comic than a.
When I take my shirt off, people laugh. All right, that's for sure.
Yeah. Scott Reynolds joining us here from the Pewter Report. All right, so obviously these depth picks are where it's at. And I, the Bucs have 2 third-rounders. I have a sneaky suspicion one of those is ammunition to move up in the first round.
Yeah,
I think you might agree with me.
Yeah,
and how much does it cost? Do you think will it cost for them to move to 26 to 19 or 20? And they're not going to. The Steelers aren't going to give away their pick if they're going.
I think they're resigned to waiting until what the Steelers do. Right. Yeah. I don't think they're going to try to move that high because then the cost becomes really high. Remember, it was a 4th round pick in 2020 for them to move up 1 spot.
Right.
Okay, 1 spot. So now 4th round is day 3. There's a big difference between a 4th round pick and a 3rd round pick, which is day 2. Okay, so keep that in mind. But yeah, it would certainly cost that extra 3rd round pick, and then you're probably dipping into 2025 draft, which we've seen Jason do a little bit now. He did that to get Trey Palmer, right, to move up into the 6th round to get Trey Palmer. He did that to move up in the 5th round to get Zion McCollum the year before. So we've seen Jason never really do this until recently, forego a day 3 pick, whether it's a 5th rounder or 6th rounder, whatever, or 4th rounder, 4th or 5th rounder, to move up into this current year draft. And so it'll be interesting to see if he does that. But that's why I think he has to wait until 20 to be resigned to say, okay, because you know what? Here's the thing: if Jackson Powers Johnson and Graham Barton are gone by 20.
Yeah, you're not moving up.
Then it wasn't meant to be, right? And then you're drafting a Marshawn Nealand, you're trading down, you're getting, one of the better receivers to be that starting wide receiver number 3 and the heir apparent to either Chris Godwin or Mike Evans. You're drafting maybe Mike Sainristil still, who is a Antoine Winfield Jr. / Rondé Barber-esque nickel corner. And you say nickel corner. Well, yeah, when you play nickel defense 75% of the time, right? It's a starter, right?
Playmaker.
Playmaker,
what you're drafting.
Yes.
Forget about the positions, folks. This is it's this positionless defense these days. It's you're looking for playmakers, chess pieces.
Exactly.
As Todd Bowles likes to say.
The St. Pete's own Johnny Newton, right? Johnny Newton. If he's there, you grab him. He is an elite defensive tackle prospect. And you might say, wait a minute, they got Vita Vea, they got Kalijah Kancey.
Never have
29,
enough.
And I'm telling you right now, Vita's going to have a short career. He's not going to play much longer.
Too big.
When you're that big, we saw it last year. Foot problems, right? Groin problems, right? This is going to kind of become common, and I say it with full respect because I love Vita Vea.
He's an enormous human being that moves really fast. Those guys just don't last.
They don't last.
The body can't handle it.
And he's missed 7 games in the past 2 years to really non-serious injuries, tissue injuries, soft tissue injuries, right? We're not talking about
been ineffective in stretches because of injuries, in my opinion.
Correct.
He's games that he's played in, but you just Vitas doesn't have it today. Something's going on.
Right. Well, and so here's the domino effect, and here's why it's important. I know Buck fans are probably losing their mind. They've drafted 2 defensive tackles in a row. Okay, imagine, because when I say imagine, this is not a stretch because this has happened. Kalijah Kancey's on the sideline. He's hurt for 4 games. Happened last year. Or Vita Vea is hurt. Let's say one of those guys is off the table on a Sunday, okay? The other guy, which is a stud, either Vita or Kalijah, is only going to play at most 60% of the snaps, okay? He's going to be off the field getting a rest. So when he's off the field and Vita's in street clothes, now your starting defensive tackles are 33-year-old Will Golston, backup nose tackle Greg Gaines, ineffective Logan Hall, or Mike Green, a former practice squad player. Any combination of those 2 guys, of those 4 guys,
the other team is just handing
in
it
the
off.
game. Is in the game, and you're losing run stuffing ability, which prevents Todd Bowles from getting into 3rd and longs situations where he can really unleash the blitz packages and do Todd Bowles type of things. It hurts the Bucs interior pass rush, right? When your nickel package is all of a sudden Logan Hall and Will Golston, not as effective as Kalijah Kancey and Vita Vea. It all starts up front. There is a chain reaction domino effect that spills down from the defensive tackle position. So imagine Vita Vea sideline for a game. Kalijah Cansey's on the sideline for a break. Now you've got Johnny Newton and you've got Logan Hall on nickel defense, right?
Yeah.
That's a much better scenario. Or better yet, maybe Kalijah's in the game next to Johnny Newton in nickel defense, and you're not missing a beat, right?
Right.
So that's why maybe drafting defensive tackle wouldn't be a bad idea too.
No.
When they're in a 3-4 base defense, which is about 30% of the time, that's a starter.
Yeah.
That's your third defensive tackle on the depth chart. So
the Bucs are in a place where they don't have to draft for position, which is the best place to be when you're going into a draft.
Yeah.
I say that just mouth watering about getting a center.
Yeah.
But they can, if those guys are gone, they can find a starting center in the second round. Not as good as those other guys, but a good player. There's no question about it. So I like where the Bucs are right now. Any other issues we should be watching for on Thursday and Friday night?
It'd be interesting. I love so many players in the second and third round. This was a really hard mock draft for us to do.
Really?
Just because they've had so many players in for top 30 visits that are second and third rounders, and there were so many good players. So there's a part of me that, like, if Newton's gone, if Leatu's gone, if Graham Barton's gone, if Jackson Powers Johnson's gone, if the well is just dry there, right, and your options are
trade back and pick up a second or third.
Exactly. We're down to Marshawn Nealand, who that might be a little high for 26. Mike Samer still might be a little high, right? Malachi Corley, Keon Coleman, those guys might be a little high. Trade down a couple spots, maybe out of the first round, like they did in 2022 2023 22 when they got Logan Hall, and stockpile those second, third round picks. We saw Jason Light really kind of do that in 2018 and ended up with 3 second round picks, right? They traded down, still got Vita Vea, still got the player they wanted. They had 3 second round picks. And sometimes it's about, you're getting a whole bunch of really good players that way,
but not a great one.
But if you swing and miss, remember, MJ Stewart was drafted ahead of Carlton Davis.
That's right. Yeah.
Rojo was drafted ahead of Carlton Davis. Carlton Davis was the 3rd second round pick. He was the best one
of the 3. Yeah.
Of the 3. And then they still got Alex Kappa in the 3rd round. Right. So, but by and large, that was a really good draft. And it happened by trading down, still getting the player they wanted in Vita Vea. And granted, we're talking, middle of the first round here. We're not talking end of the first round like they are now, because it could end up with another Logan Hall type scenario where you trade down and not getting the best player. But I do like the second and third round this year, probably more than any other year. It's so deep at interior offense and defensive line. Luke Aurora, who was our second round pick in this.
I saw that.
Draft.
Yeah.
Stud player from Clemson, man. And you talk about athletic defensive tackle. He is another Kalijah Cansey type. I mean, I'm excited about it.
Can't have enough of those guys.
Nope,
There's no question about it. So, could not be more excited for this draft and this Buccaneers team, because they've got, I've got so many questions that have answered. The most important one at quarterback. Yeah. And they're not, have to worry about the rest of these, which is going to be crazy at the top of the draft. I think somebody's coming up to 4 with Arizona. Who's that going to be? Is it going to be Minnesota? Is it going to be Denver? Yeah. Even though they just traded for Zach Wilson, which is weird.
Very weird.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I cannot wait. Where will you be draft night? You gonna be with that $1?
Yeah, we're gonna be doing the draft show, our Pewter Report live draft show. We always do it from team headquarters. The team's gracious enough to have us broadcast from there. All 3 nights. It's about 20 hours total. The entire Pewter Report staff will be there.
Nice.
We always start an hour before the draft every single day to kind of prep everybody and do a little bit of a preview. So the draft starts at 8:00 on Thursday. Tune in at 7. The draft starts at 7 o'clock on Friday night. Tune in at 6. The draft starts at noon on Saturday. Tune in at 11 a.m. All on Pewter Report TV. It's our YouTube channel. You can check us out. We'll have a podcast today with Bucs Best Bets. We have all of the players that we feel the Buccaneers would be most interested in drafting at every position, in the first 3 rounds. And then we have another pick in rounds 4 through 7. So check out today's show. No Pewter Report podcast tomorrow. But again, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, the Pewter Report Draft Show, live from team headquarters, and that's on Pewter Report TV. You can follow us on social media, on X, Facebook, and Instagram at Pewter Report. And then, of course, the mothership, pewterreport.com. We have all the draft previews you possibly need if you're a Buccaneer fan interested in the draft.
I will be watching from Amalie Arena on Thursday night, my friend.
Go Bolts.
I will be on my phone watching you guys and watching the draft and watching the Bolts as well. So it's going to be a big night Thursday night.
Absolutely.
All right, partner. Appreciate you as
Thanks,
always.
We
will be watching this weekend or this week starting on Thursday. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right,
Appreciate
we will take a quick break, come back on the other side and get into a little bit more on the Rays and your Bolts. Some information from today's practices coming up. So stay with us. Quick break. We're brought to you by Extravaganza Productions. If you have a meeting coming up, a birthday party, some kind of event, you need the professionals to work it for you, EPI is where you go. Extravaganzaproductions.com. They are absolute pros. Small events, big events, whatever you got. They'll help you out and give you a free creative meeting if you mention the JP Peterson Show. So go check out their warehouse and all their cool props that they have there. It's Extravaganza Productions. Back in 3. Stay with us. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group and my man Scott Jeeves, who lives right here and has long been a highly respected member of our community. He's a proud sponsor of the Tampa Riverwalk. Jeeves Law Group is also a proud sponsor of our Grand Central District in St. Pete and has neighborhood events throughout the year. He has an office on Central Avenue in St. Pete and one on South Howard in Tampa. You can't get more local than that. So when you need an attorney, you're going to hire some huge firm that advertises all over the state or the one that supports your favorite sports show. It's the Jeeves Law Group. We're local, we're trusted, and we get results. For personal injury and personal attention, call us for a free case evaluation. That's 8889-JEEVES. That's 8889-JEEVES.
All right, this is for all you guys who don't want to go to the gym and do 5,000 crunches. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, you can get on the new True Body machine where you can reduce fat and tone up your muscle. It's like doing 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Define your body as you see fit. True Body offers personalized muscle stimulation that delivers the equivalent of those 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Just get in touch with them at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and the team over there will set you up on True Body and get amazing results. Non-invasive with comfortable and little to no pain and zero downtime. You can isolate and target those areas that you want to improve and treat multiple areas simultaneously. It's an amazing machine, so check it out at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com.
It's Diamond Days at the Gold and Diamond Source because April's birthstone is diamonds. As they take center stage, get up to 20% off all diamond jewelry. And our first-time buyers program will help you get educated about the 4 C's and all the different shapes and styles. And remember, you only want natural diamonds, folks. It takes billions of years to form a natural diamond. You don't want something that was made in a factory just a couple of weeks ago. And remember, your Gold and Diamond Source diamond never loses its value. You can always trade up at the Gold and Diamond Source for a bigger, better one. And they will spend the time to educate you about your diamonds and how to take care of them. And of course, consider the Gold and Diamond Source to maintain and insure your jewelry. They can professionally clean it, check the settings, and make any necessary repairs to keep your jewelry in top condition. It's the 40th anniversary of the Gold and Diamond Source, 3800 Overton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
Welcome back to the JP Peterson Show right here on FanStream Sports. It is a Tuesday, also at 102.5 HD2 The Strike. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Wherever you are listening, wherever you are watching, on Facebook, the YouTube, one of our YouTube channels, either JP Peterson Show YouTube or the FanStream Sports YouTube channel, and of course, always on X, at FanStream JP, at the JP Peterson Show, at IndyCar Tim, and of course at FanStream DSP. We appreciate you boys. Appreciate all of your comments, of course, as well as we await the return of JP Peterson. It's his show, so we only do things when he's around. Nathan Elliott chiming in as he often does. Yes, I believe whoever gets Jackson Powers Johnson will have the best offensive lineman in the draft, clearly, and it's not close. I don't have a problem with Graham Barton, but I don't think he's on the level as Jackson Powers Johnson, and I think he's going to fall to the Cowboys or the Bucs that late. As JP joins the show. Welcome to your show, JP.
That was a Hydrate Heroes break that we bathroom break that we had to take there.
I got you. We're just going over some comments here from everybody.
Winston would be great if he would listen to his coach. Yeah. Jameis, as we always say about Jameis, his greatest strength with his greatest weakness, his competitiveness always got the best of him. Could never give up on a play, and it would always cost him dearly at some critical point. I was just going through the PFF draft, and by the way, Trevor Sikkema is going to join us tomorrow, I believe. We have him on the schedule.
Oh, nice.
From PFF, and he was the Bucs draft analyst, and I have a bone to pick with him because he has the PFF draft has mock draft. Jackson Powers Johnson was available at 26, as far as I can tell. I'm going through all the other picks. Yeah, it has the Steelers taking Troy Fautanu, the Washington tackle. What's he have? It has the Eagles taking Amarius Mims, the tackle from Georgia. Has the Cowboys taking Graham Barton. And of course, so Jackson Powers Johnson would be there for the Bucs to draft, and he has them taking Kool-Aid McKinstry from Alabama, which is not a bad pick. I mean, I think he's going to be a really good corner in this league. And, you can't have enough good corners, can't have enough good defensive linemen, edge rushers, like interior offensive line, like it's part of the deal in the NFL, right? But so they don't have Jackson Powers Johnson go until 31 to the Dolphins.
Wow.
So I don't think he gets past if he were to fall in the Bucs' lap at 26, that draft, then you get to hold on to that second, third round pick that you have, that you gave up for Carlton Davis. It's a late third rounder, but wow. He does have Jared Verse going until 23 to the Vikings via the Browns.
Really?
So
we don't. I mean,
well, the PFF, what they have is, I think it's interesting because they have, the run on quarterbacks going. Caleb Williams to the Bears, which I think everybody has. And then they have Drake May going to the Commanders. I don't see how the Commanders don't take Jaden Daniels.
They're all over Jaden Daniels.
Yeah. I think the Commanders take Jaden Daniels. And then the Broncos, they have the Broncos moving up. The Patriots receive picks numbers 12 and 76 in the 2025 first round pick. I think the Broncos move up too. I think this Zach Wilson trade is kind of a smokescreen. Does anybody believe that Sean Payton is going to make Zach Wilson a starter in this league? No. So I think that's a smokescreen to make people think Denver's not moving up for a quarterback. Sean Payton's too old to be working with that at quarterback. There's too many good players in this draft. He's going to give up whatever they have to give up to move up and get the guy that he wants. So they've got Denver going up to pick Jaden Daniels. And let me tell you, Jaden Daniels, LSU, there's obviously a connection there with Peyton having been in New Orleans for so long. But can you imagine what the Denver Broncos would look like with that, with Sean Payton and Jaden Daniels' talent? That's a game changer. It's a complete game changer. So, and then they got the Cardinals staying put and picking Marvin Harrison. I think somebody's coming up. I think Minnesota's coming up. I think Denver's can come up and get that number 4 pick to get a quarterback. So they have Marvin Harrison Jr. going to the Cardinals for the Chargers, taking Malik Neighbors, who I think is going to be a fantastic pro. I think he's going to be absolutely Jamar Chase 2.0. And they got the Giants then taking the third best receiver in Rome Odunze, which sounds exactly like a Giants thing to do.
Yeah, it does.
And Odunze, I love him. I love his body. But again, great quarterback with great ball placement in a cornerback deficient league of the Pac-12. It gives me I'm not saying these kids not really, really good, but it would give me a little bit of pause right there. They got the Titans taking Joe Alt, tackle from Notre Dame, the number 1 tackle on the board. And then they have the Falcons taking Leatu Letu from UCLA at number 8.
interesting.
Okay.
Lot better player. I mean, they got to do something about their pass rush. I get that. I guess so. He would be the first defensive player off the board, right?
Wow. Yeah.
And other mocks have him going late in the first round.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know about
That's
that.
interesting.
Yeah, they've got the Raiders trading up with the Bears. Raiders receive pick number 9, and a 2025 third round pick. The Bears receive picks numbers 13 and 44. So the Bears moving back to get JJ, or the Raiders come up and get JJ McCarthy. Get those back. Interesting. Then the Jets take Brock Bowers at number 10, and Aaron Rodgers high on Ahuska, or Ahuska says thank you very much for that. For both. Then they've got the Vikings taking corner Terran Arnold from Alabama. Interesting. The Patriots then at 12, having moved back, taking Michael Penix Jr.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. If that's the quarterback you want, you can trade back and get him and be okay and pick up other picks.
I just don't know if he's going to fall that far.
I don't think so either. In this mock, the Broncos already have their quarterback because they moved up to get him.
Right.
So I don't think he falls past Sean Payton. If the Broncos stay put at 12, I think that's where Penix goes. So I agree. But he might go. I think he might go earlier. The Bears at 13 get Brian Thomas to go with Caleb Williams. That's, as they trade with the Raiders. That's not, I mean, if you're the Bears, that's where you want to go. You want to get your quarterback and get a high-end wide receiver to go with him, to go with the rest of the weapons that you have now. They got the Saints at 14 taking Fuaga, the tackle out of Oregon State. Then the Lions taking Quinyon Mitchell from Toledo, who I think is the best corner in the draft. But they've got other corners going first. Seattle taking Dallas Turner at 16, which I think I don't see how the Falcons take Letu over Dallas Turner, but we'll see. But that's what the Falcons do. And then they got the Jags taking Cooper DeJean, corner out of Iowa. The Bengals taking Byron Murphy, second out of Texas. And then the Rams taking tackle Fashanu out of Penn State. I'm not even going to try to tackle that first name there. And the Steelers taking Fautanu out of Washington, the tackle. The Texans taking Newton from Illinois, the defensive tackle from Illinois, who Scotty likes. Then the Eagles taking Mims from Georgia, as we mentioned. The Vikings by the Browns taking Jared Verse at 23. Do the Bucs jump up and get Jared Verse if he's around at 23? Wow. It looks like he's fallen a lot in a lot of these mock drafts. The Cowboys then take Graham Barton ahead of Jackson Powers Johnson. I'm with you. I think if both of those guys are on the board, I don't know how you take Barton over. But again, the versatility. I think that the Cowboys may like that versatility because they do need it. They need a starting center and a starting tackle, right? So you take Graham Barton at the top, then if a tackle falls to you, you take him. If a center falls to you, who you like, you take him, and you can do whatever you want with Barton. So I think there's some value there. The Bucs don't have that needed tackle, so I think they zero in on Jackson Powers Johnson. So there you go. That's most of the first round. The Cardinals take Chop Robinson right after the Bucs. I don't think the Bucs are as high on Chop Robinson as a lot of other people are. I'm a little. If you can't get production at that position, what do you have? 4.5 sacks.
Yeah.
If you can't get more production at that position in college, especially in the Big Ten, I don't know. That's a red flag to me. He's got a lot of good traits, but to me, that's a red flag. So
yeah, and there's a kid out of Western Michigan, Nealand, Marshawn Nealand, I think.
Yeah, that's who Scott loves him too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really coming up, man. He is climbing the draft boards. I've got him ahead of Chop Robinson even right now at this point. I'm just not big on him either. I
agree with you. 100%. 100%. All right. Let's take another quick break here because we got Lou Maggio coming up. I want to get into a little bit of the
the Bolts and what's coming up tonight in Game 2, as the morning skate is ongoing right now. So we'll give you a little update on that. We are brought to you by the great folks at Hydrate Heroes. If you want to get 8 times the benefits from your hydration drink, Hydrate Heroes is the way to go right there. You get the amla fruit. You get all the electrolytes in there. You get vitamin D. It'll help your immune system. It'll help at your cellular level, make you feel better. I've been drinking it for, a month now, and it's given me more energy. It makes me feel better. My joints feel a hell of a lot better than they did. So many benefits, and it doesn't have all the sugar, only 5 calories, doesn't have the stimulants, any of the bad stuff. HydrateHeroes.com. Go get you some, less than $1 a serving. Back in 3. Stay with us. Are you looking to be more productive and healthier? Do you know chronic dehydration affects your overall health and well-being? 75% of the U.S. population suffers from dehydration, and many of us don't even know it. That was me before I was introduced to Hydrate Heroes. 8 times the benefits with hydration. A beverage with benefits more than just hydration. That's right, 8 times the benefits with hydration. Hydrate Heroes provides a refreshing, great-tasting beverage powder to mix with water, providing elderberry, zinc, vitamin D, electrolytes, amla fruit, which provides a great source of vitamin C, along with a proprietary mushroom blend that has shown to help increase endurance and energy at the cellular level. Hydrate Heroes is so confident you're going to love the taste and the results. They are offering our listeners a special offer, a free 3-pack sample, no credit card needed. Just go to the jppetersonshow.com, the jppetersonshow.com, and click on Hydrate Heroes logo. Hydrate for health today with Hydrate Heroes.
All right, this is for all you guys who don't want to go to the gym and do 5,000 crunches. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, you can get on the new True Body machine where you can reduce fat and tone up your muscle. It's like doing 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Define your body as you see fit. True Body offers personalized muscle stimulation that delivers the equivalent of those 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Just get in touch with them at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and the team over there will set you up on True Body and get amazing results. Non-invasive with comfortable and little to no pain and zero downtime. You can isolate and target those areas that you want to improve and treat multiple areas simultaneously. It's an amazing machine, so check it out at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com.
Everyone knows Italiano Insurance is your go-to for home insurance, but they also have an amazing team that focuses on business insurance. Yes, your business is most likely your biggest asset, so make sure you have the right coverage at the most competitive price. And if you started a side hustle recently, don't forget you need business insurance, because if you get sued in this over-litigious society we live in, you could lose all your personal wealth. So get that business insurance. And for the best customer service, always choose Italiano. My representative, Charity, is amazing. I called her late on a Friday because my insurance was going to lapse. She stayed late until the job was done. You just don't find that anymore. Give them a call, 813-877-7799. That's 813-877-7799. Italiano Insurance. JP here for Extravaganza Productions. You know, I've worked with these pros on so many big and small events. They recently did the Kappa Alpha Psi Grand Reunion, the Tampa RV Show Exhibit. They did the Skills Center opening of Tampa Bay. They can do those small events. They do the biggest of events. So if you were thinking about planning a meeting or special event, call the talented staff at Team EPI. They will give you a free creative meeting if you mention the JP Peterson Show. They will provide you with an exceptional experience. Heck, they'll even show you their huge warehouse with great props. Anything you want. They'll do it on time and on budget. You can reach them at their Tampa headquarters at 813-621-4700 or go to extravaganzaproductions.com. Tell them JP sent you.
Let's go. Right now. Back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the great folks at Synovus Bank. They are the neighborhood bank and a big bank rolled into one. Go check out my good friend John Acosta over there. He's been in banking since 1983 here locally. That's where you get most of your folks that work at Synovus Bank. They've been in local banking for a long, long time. So get the big bank with the local bank feel. That's synovusbank.com. All right, we got game 2 coming up tonight. Interesting to see the Maple Leafs take care of the Boston Bruins last night. Austin Matthews with 3 points in that game. So I think that was the first road team to win in football and hockey or basketball playoffs.
I think so, yeah. I think you're right.
So, and that's usually 50-50 in hockey. So very, very, very encouraged by what the Lightning can get done tonight. As I said in the open, I think they got a lot better hockey in them. And obviously getting, the guys back on the penalty kill was huge with Luke Glendening and Tyler Mott, although they did not kill the penalty they needed to kill late in the top of the third period.
Yeah,
that was costly, but it wasn't either of those two guys that was beaten on the back end. So I think they're better tonight. I think they can. They got to solve Bobrovsky, obviously. Some notes from Eric Erlandson. Why Max Crozier was called up. Maybe that has something to do with some insurance for Eric Chernak, who may have taken a pop. But line rushes as of yesterday were according to Eric, Duclair, Point, Kucherov, Hagel, Sorelli, and Stamkos, AC Mont, Paul, and Chafee, Jeannot, Glendening, and Watson. And the D pairings were Hedman, Radish, Duma, Chernak, Lilleberg, Crozier, who played together obviously a lot at Syracuse, Dahan, and Sergachev, and Fleury. Mott and Perbix not practicing what the team has called maintenance. So, and Chernak was back on the ice. So I don't think we'll see a lot of difference in terms of positions or personnel. They played pretty well 5v5. I think John Cooper would probably agree with me and say they've got a lot better than they had in game 1. And they'll adjust to the series like they've always done. I think 12 times during the Cooper era, the Lightning have lost game 1 and come back to win the series. So in no way do I think that they're outclassed by the Panthers. As I kind of coming into the series, I was a little worried. And certainly the first 15 minutes of the game,
yeah,
when they had no shots, it was 9-0 in shots. I was like, woof, this could get bad. But of course they made the adjustments on the fly. And they came back. I think the tally was 28-19, but they only had 12 shots early in the third period. So there was some concern. I think Florida certainly outplayed them, more so than maybe the stats would say, but I expect adjustments from the Lightning, and I expect them to play harder on the puck. I expect them to, and maybe I expect them to get more than one power play. I think they'll probably even that up a little bit. And that could be huge in this series. You look at some of the other series, there's a lot more scoring going on. I think this like Eric Erlandson said the other day, this is going to be consistent with what we see in this series, which is a tight checking game. I don't think we're going to see any 7-6 scores in this series. I think it's going to be a lot of 3-2s, 2-1s, 4-3 max. I just don't see a whole lot of scoring in this series. It's going to be tightly checked, and I don't think anybody wants to give up anything and let this game start becoming an end-to-end affair. I think I don't think that necessarily would favor the Lightning. They need to hunker down and win with special teams, with their PK and their power play, and take advantage of it when they get those opportunities. Even the one power play they got one good shot and a couple, I thought that it wasn't their best power play. They didn't have enough zone time for me. So all those things can get better for the Lightning, and I think they will tonight. I think they win game 2, and we're coming back here game 3.
So I'm paying very close attention to the Bruins Maple Leaf series. And I had a question for you. So, these new kind of expanded divisions and stuff, when they went to the 2 divisions in each conference, so you got way more teams. That's still kind of new. Like, who would you say is the most hated rival division opponent now for the Lightning? Is it Boston? Or do y'all hate the Leafs more?
I think honestly it's just become the Panthers because of our recent playoff history. Yeah, I mean, 3 out of the last 4 years we played them and beaten them. And I think it's become the Panthers. I think there finally is a cross-state rivalry. I would put Boston right behind them, and then probably Toronto right after that. So I think you guys out there, you Lightning fans, correct me if I'm wrong. Like, where do you see the biggest rival now? Is it, I think it was Boston, but now I think it would be Florida, Boston, and then the Maple Leafs after that. I could be wrong. I mean,
just, growing up a Canadiens fan, Boston was the biggest hated team, right? Yeah. It's like the Eagles for Cowboys fans. It's just because you had all the run-ins in the 70s and the 80s in the playoffs, and things were a little bit different back then because you didn't have as many teams, obviously, but you played everybody way more. But just curious about that. The way the league has expanded, and now you've got all these Southern teams that are involved, including the Stars. For the Stars, biggest rivals were always Colorado and Detroit. Going through the late 90s and early 2000s playoffs runs, they were always winning cup. One of those three teams was winning the cup. And just, curious what the Southern teams, kind of who they consider their biggest rivals.
Yeah, and I don't really think it matters, divisions as much as it does just what's going on in the playoffs, because playoffs develop rivalries. And I think that's where it is now. And, I think the Panthers have been rejuvenated. Certainly their fan base has been rejuvenated. They had 19,000 strong in there at the Rat Trap the other night. So, it's going to be jumping tonight. That doesn't really affect the Lightning. They're too experienced for that. Yeah. They just I would like to see them not chase the game. I'd like to see them score first tonight and put a little bit more pressure on Florida and be able to kind of dictate. And let's see how they get out of their own end. If this comes out in the first period and the Panthers just continue to cycle and keep that puck in the Lightning's end, it's not good. It's not good. And the Lightning need to definitely create more chances and get more shots on goal. I mean, shots on goal is not the end all be all, but when you got, 11 shots through 2 periods, that sucks.
Can't score if you don't take a shot.
No. And then you look back at that game in Sunrise at the end of the year where they only had 15 shots for the game. I mean, this is a trend. This is a trend now that the Panthers have done a good job of keeping the Lightning out of the zone and keeping them from shooting the puck. And so that's got to change. If the Lightning are going to win this series, they got to get, 23, at least 24 shots on goal. It just, Bobrovsky's too good and he faces 19 shots. That's not enough pressure. They got to get more pressure. Simple as that. And then, get a few more power plays and the shots will come too. Yeah. It's a little easier.
You hope.
Yeah. You hope. Yeah, for God's sakes. All right, let's welcome in our good friend Lou Maggio from the Tampa Sports Club, long-standing club that I've become very fond of, and I will be emceeing the Tampa Sports Club Hall of Fame coming up in June, early June. Lou, I know you've been working really, really hard on this, my friend. Some great Hall of Famers. Tell us all about
it. June 5th, we're at the Higgins Hall. It's our 40th, actually, and it's long-standing, and hopefully we don't have you at the bar and you're standing at the end of this when you MC this. But
it's where I do my best work. You know that, Lou.
We're gonna cut the drink tickets off for you this year. Anyway,
I'm out. Forget it.
We're inducting some amazing people. We have Bobby Diaz, who is longtime Chamberlain softball coach, like 4 or 5 state championships. Charlie Bradley, when you look at USF basketball, he's the original USF basketball stud. Aaron Andrews. Aaron can't be there because she's got some problems, but our good friend Gail Sarens, who's a member, is going to induct her, and also
our former intern at News Channel 8. Yes.
We got this guy named Daddy's Bullard, baby Titus O'Neill. You might know him as.
He's very excited. I spoke to him this weekend at length, and he's very excited about getting inducted.
Yeah, I've got to say, you saw the video we did with that. But what fun we did. We got Bruce Arians.
Yes.
$4 Bucs, and he's going to be fun. And there's this guy, what's his name?
Your ball coach.
Yeah. Steve Spurrier, or something like that.
Yeah.
I've heard of him.
He's
ball coach.
He's going to close. It's so funny. They're talking about we have a time limit. I said, no, we don't. You let Steve tell anything he wants. Let me tell you something. We went up a couple weeks ago and we did his interview. I sent you the tape.
This is great stuff.
It's hilarious. And I mean, there's so often when you do an interview with someone that you just, you kind of dread doing. You don't want to do it like the one you're doing with me right now. Anyway, besides that, but we went up there and I had so much fun with him, and it's just he's hilarious. And we did that. We did Titus last week, and he's just an amazing person. And he played for Spurrier.
Yes, he did.
He had some great stories, and I
well,
mean,
all right, let's just share that one quip. What did Spurrier say about Titus?
no,
Come on. If you don't tell it, I will.
He said Titus looked really good in the uniform. Anyway, and he's really happy that wrestling thing is working out. He
See,
said,
there you go.
He goes, I let him wear my number, so he looked really good in that uniform. But
That's right. He wore 11. That's right.
But I'm telling you, he had great. My favorite quote. We talked about the Bucs, and he goes, yeah. He goes, I learned. I played for the Bucs one season, and I learned a lot. And he goes, I learned how not to coach football. Anyway, that was his little stab at McKay.
John McKay, yes.
Then he was talking about his restaurant. And he was saying, my restaurant's doing really good. It's 2, 3 years now. And he looked over, he goes to me, he goes, I think Barton had a restaurant for 1 year and it closed down. But besides that, I mean.
He's just got to take his shots. I love it.
Oh, my God, I love it. And Brandy was talking. Brandy Wine is our president. I'm vice president now, and Brandy was saying, "Well, I got to write the script for JP." I said, "No, you don't. I mean, let them all
copy points.
Roll. I mean,
copy points. All I need.
What points do you need? You know about all of them.
That's the beauty. It's happened many years. I've been doing this, and that's the joy of it. Introducing Gene Deckerhoff, who. I worked 8 years with on the radio for Florida State Radio Network, introducing Gail Sirians, who I worked with for 10 years at News Channel 8. I mean, These are Hall of Famers that are going in, but they're also dear, good friends and colleagues of mine. So it's such a joy to do that, to welcome somebody into a Hall of Fame of their hometown, and I know this is not Steve Spurrier's hometown, but it's kind of his adopted hometown, right?
Oh, yeah.
In a lot of different ways. So,
I mean,
it's a joy.
They coached the Bandits, for God's sakes. They were amazing here, and he loved Tom McEwen. Tom McEwen was a big favorite of him. The Levy brothers, he was just. Let me tell you something. You and I are around a lot of celebrities. We have a lot of celebrity friends, and I never, never asked for anything. But let me tell you something. I've got something in my office. I'm going to have him sign right here.
Nice.
One thing. I've never asked many people I know for autographs, Jeter or anybody I've known for years. I want the helmet signed, okay? Because I didn't even bring him.
Bandit ball, baby.
But he's going to be so good. We got him batting cleanup with you, so you're going to have a blast.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what we're paying you for this, but we're going to double it this year, okay? You get 5 drink tickets this year.
God.
Okay?
Yeah, but only can be used post event. Yes.
It's funny. A lot of the former inductees are coming. They're dying to come in to see this. And, we moved it to Higgins because I think Pepin's a great hall, but Higgins holds about 150 more people. And I think we're going to need it.
You're going to need it. Yeah, you're going to need it.
We're going to need it. And I think the club is, we're raising money. We do stuff for the boys club, and we're spreading it around now. We did our golf tournament you're involved in.
Yeah, that was great fun.
Very, very successful. We have other charities that we're working on. That's the idea. The idea is to raise money and give back to the community. I mean,
Lou, just to I hate to correct you, but it's the Boys and Girls Club. It's not just the Boys Club. It's the Boys and Girls Club.
Yeah, okay.
And we may have to add a third, now that the Title IX recognition has now gone out from our wonderful administration.
We won't be adding a third, but it is the Boys Club. I stand corrected, and I'm sorry, of course. But
not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's called the Boys and Girls Club. And what's left of Title IX, we want to support the girls as well. So
absolutely. It was don't start with me, okay? Don't put me on Twitter.
I'm throwing out the red meat for Lou.
Racist. Look at him. What's my pronoun? Anyway.
No, we're not. We're all inclusive here. We're just not crazy about it.
We're excited. Yes. We're really excited about this. Like I said, we're getting more and more involved. The club has grown.
Yeah.
The members have grown. We've got some great people involved in there, and we're looking at next year's, inductee. We're actually Carlos Pena is also supposed to be inducted this year, but he's down in I believe the Dominican or somewhere, and he can't. So we're going to have a separate one for him. Probably, I think in November. I believe you'll know about that. We'll let you know. But he
awesome. I didn't know that. That's awesome. Yeah, he deserves to be in too.
He deserves to be in there, and we have him, but we couldn't make it up for this, and it's
well. Let's talk about the Tampa Sports Club, because now we've moved our meetings to Palmacia Country Club. Beautiful place, much easier to get in and out of most days. So we have these events every month where we have great speakers come in. Tell me a little bit about the speakers you've had over the past year.
Yeah, once a month we have it's very casual, look like little dinner, and we'll have like a speaker. We had Brian Cashman come in about a month ago, and Sam McDowell's been in. We've had different folks.
Scott Reynolds from Pewter Report.
That's right. He just came. He was just there. So it's kind of an interesting. It's kind of the evolution of a sorority and a fraternity. You see, I said sorority, by the way.
There you go.
Sorority and fraternity. I mean, it's amazing how your girl.
Ladies are welcome. Ladies are welcome. Men are welcome.
Well, our president's a lady.
Yeah,
I mean,
there you go.
ladies on the board. I mean, it's all about. I mean, Tampa has such a rich history of sports, and recently we've had so many people come into the city that don't know the history of the city. And then they'll realize, I mean, like the Levy brothers, they brought the Bucs here. I mean, Tom Ewan was one of the most respected writers in America. I mean, there's so much we're trying to bring back with
those were the founders. Yeah,
they're the founders, and and I mean, George Steinbrenner was a president.
Huge supporter.
He was a president of the club at one time.
Yeah,
he really was. So I mean, there's things like I love when people are dying to live here. That's great. So if you're going to live here, learn about the history, and we'll send you a test. We'll send it to me. I'll grade it, and we'll let you know if you could stay or not. Okay? If not,
we don't want any of you carpetbaggers coming in here, Stu Sternberg. You're not welcome.
We'll send you back up north on a bus. Anyway,
that's right.
But
so you could join the club at what's the website?
Right, www.sportscluboftampabay.org, and it has its schedules on there and everything that we're doing. We do smokers once in a while over at the Cathedral. Yep. We go to the Lightning games and the Bucs games, and we do. We're doing a Bucs tour of the headquarters there, and
nice.
Coming up pretty soon. Like I said, it's a great networking club of people that are just getting here or people that have been here, and it's great to hear some great speakers every month. It's kind of fun.
Yep, absolutely. So. Go join the club. It's $100 for the year.
Yeah, $100 for the year. I mean,
and if they want to come to the event on June 5th, there's still tables available.
There is tables available right now. It's selling out quick. So if you really want to go, I mean, like I said, it's going to just be. I mean, you've done this a lot, and I mean, we've had great guys, but to hear Aaron speak and hear Spurrier and Titus is a scream too.
Oh, he's going to be great.
And like I said, we're just very, very excited and. I mean, Bobby Diaz has got so many people that love him. I think we've had 3 tables sold just to be near Bobby.
There you go.
That's what it's all about, honoring people that serve us.
Yeah. All right. So tampasportsclub.org or sportscluboftampabay.org.
Sportscluboftampabay.org. Go on there. You can get your tickets to the event.
Become a member.
Right. Become a member. It's like I said, I know we got something coming up, I believe, May 14th, we have the next one coming in there, and Joey Johnson's on the board now.
Yeah,
right? It's great. I kind of hoodwinked him into getting in there, so now I got my own press agent on there. So
when's my first board meeting?
May 14th, 5 o'clock.
Be there. I'll be there. May 14th, 5 o'clock. We don't have a hockey game. I'm there.
Okay, you got it. That's exactly it. You guys are all hockeyed out. But anyway. We appreciate you being there, man. We're looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a fun night. I mean,
it's going to be an awesome night. Historic night. It's going to be a historic night. Be there.
You got it.
Lou, great job. You're doing a great job. Appreciate you getting all the stuff out there, doing a fantastic job revitalizing this club. We got a lot of new members. So come join us and be part of this big event. It's going to be fun. Thanks, buddy.
Going to be a blast. Be good, brother. Take care. Bye.
There's Lou Maggio right there. All right, quick break. When we come back, Chris Lugo's going to join us. We're going to talk about Peptides. You know what a peptide is, Tim Ham? You know what a peptide is?
Peptides. They were a popular band in the late 80s, I think. Hit number one with a couple of one-hit wonders.
Well, you'll learn more about them then with our music historian Chris Lugo coming up next on peptides. We're brought to you by the great folks at Italiano Insurance. Folks, saw an article the other day in the Times about bad homeowners insurance companies, companies that come in here, take your money, and don't protect your home. Of course, Italiano Insurance is not going to put you with any of those type of companies. Just another great part of their customer service, whether it's auto insurance, homeowners insurance, business insurance, life insurance, whatever it is, get the customer service you deserve. And you'll only find that at a place that has actual human beings answering the phone. 813-877-7799. Ask for my good friend Charity. She will treat you great. And that's Italiano Insurance. Back in 3. Stay with us. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group and my man Scott Jeeves. If you're going to hire an attorney, do you want some guy looking for a quick settlement and a quick buck, or do you want an attorney with some chops? Scott is a board-certified civil trial lawyer and a certified circuit court mediator. Been practicing in the Tampa Bay area for over 30 years. He is a peer-reviewed AV preeminent-rated civil trial lawyer. They just don't hand out those classifications. He's been the lead class action counsel on many complex consumer protection cases and has handled hundreds of serious personal injury cases. He's dedicated his career to protecting injured victims and is committed to vigorously representing you. We're local, we're trusted, and we get results. Personal injury and personal attention. Call for a free case evaluation. That's 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES. The Jeeves Law Group. JP here for the Geddes Gordon Real Estate Group and our good friend Jane Geddes. Folks, simply put, there is nobody like Jane. Jane is a former LPGA two-time major championship winner. She was also vice president of talent relations at WWE. She also has a law degree from Stetson. So if Jane can drain a 10-footer to win the U.S. Open and stare down Hulk Hogan in the boardroom, you want Jane on your real estate team to not only negotiate the best deal, but find you the perfect home or investment property. And when you work with the Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of the real estate family and get concierge services that include expertly staging, marketing, and preparing your home for sale. Advice on golf properties. Hey, you might even get some golf tips. Many of their clients become friends long after the sale or purchase is completed. It's all part of the deal. So if you're looking for that perfect home or investment property or trying to get top dollar for your home, go with Jane Geddes and the Geddes Gordon Group, because there's nobody like Jane. Call 813-485-6808 or go to geddesgordon.kw.com. That's GEDDES Gordon.kw.com or call 813-485-6808. Everyone knows Italiano Insurance is your go-to for home insurance, but they also have an amazing team that focuses on business insurance. Yes, your business is most likely your biggest asset, so make sure you have the right coverage at the most competitive price. And if you started a side hustle recently, don't forget you need business insurance, because if you get sued in this over-litigious society we live in, you could lose all your personal wealth. So get that business insurance. And for the best customer service, always choose Italiano. My representative Charity is amazing. I called her late on a Friday because my insurance was going to lapse. She stayed late until the job was done. You just don't find that anymore. Give them a call, 813-877-7799. That's 813-877-7799. Italiano Insurance.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here on this Testosterone Tuesday. Who better to talk to than our good friend Chris Lugo from Bay Area Modern Medical Center. What's up, Chris? How are you, buddy?
Unbelievable. How's it going, guys?
I'm good. I feel great for a young 50-year-old masquerading as a 60-year-old. Drinking my hydration drink. Just took my testosterone.
Let's hear Tim. Give it to him.
I feel bloated, lethargic, overweight, and old.
844-789-2266.
I'm gonna have to do that one of these days.
You do telemedicine? You do telemedicine?
Yeah, telemedicine. Yes.
Well, there you go, Tim.
Oh, do you? Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Hook up your own little StreamYard thing here, and do a personalized, get your blood work done, right? And then Chris will start right where with that, and probably get you off the 9 Red Bulls
live
a day.
on air, Tim. How about that?
Yeah, let's do it live on the air.
I mean, you already have in your bedroom already, so why not let us into your blood?
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't have any Red Bulls today because I didn't get to the store last night because
I'm sorry.
I had too much vodka last night. So
Red Bull, vodka and Red Bull. So
I did have vodka and Red Bull last night.
Yeah.
Look, I do on Monday nights. I do 4 hours of podcasts and radio late at night. So it's like I gotta have my Red Bull, but apparently that's the wrong answer.
All right. So if you were gonna prescribe an energy drink, Chris, I don't know if you do. If there's any of them out there that you like, is there any particular one out there that's okay, or how would if you need a little jolt during the day, what would you prescribe?
Yeah, so you're always choosing the lesser of two evils, kind of like politics, but that's beside the point.
Yes, I see.
But I like stuff without dyes in them. So, I mean, if I'm going to go to, it's going to be a white Monster. It doesn't have a tremendous amount of caffeine, 140 milligrams of caffeine. That's not a lot. No dyes in it. That's probably my go-to.
I've never had a Monster. Maybe
a white Monster.
White Monster, yeah. Probably one of the biggest ones.
Is it good with vodka, you think?
Well, first of all, he's going to tell you you shouldn't be doing podcasts because he wants you in bed by 8:30.
I can't do that.
So 9:30. I'm not going to say 8:30. 9:30.
Okay, 9:30. Well, see if you're doing shows. This is it's an interesting topic. So if you have a job like Tim and I do,
yes,
where like if I'm doing Lightning games, I'm working till 11:15, 11:30 at night. So I'm not getting to bed at 9:30, unfortunately. But your sleep schedule, how do you regulate your sleep schedule when you typically want to keep it consistent every day, right?
So you're going to be shifting things to the right when you've got something going on late night. So you got a Lightning game. You're not going to get home till 11:30. Hey, you're already blocking out your schedule for the next morning so you can sleep in a little bit longer. That's all.
Yeah. Just slide it down. Slide it
to the right.
But I got a podcast at 10 a.m., so I got to get up early and prep for my podcast.
It's 9 a.m. for me, by the way.
Yeah, that's exactly. It's 9 a.m. So right. I have made great use of naps. I like my naps now because I can take. A lot of people say I can't take a nap because once I go to bed, I'm like I take a 15-minute power nap,
correct,
and I feel completely rejuvenated.
Yeah, you don't want to take too long of a nap. You'll blow off your adenosine there. So that's a good thing to make them nice and short, 30, 45 minutes max.
I think 30 is what mine are. Mine are usually 30 during the day when I do.
Yeah. And those, I don't think people use those if you're feeling tired, their go-to is like 7 Red Bulls. Don't mention any in particular.
Yeah.
Where a 30-minute nap might not be a bad idea, right?
Are you not a coffee guy, Tim? Is that the issue?
I have coffee.
Okay. All right.
My son works for Starbucks. I get free coffee and free cups.
Okay. All right.
That's a manager didn't know about that, but does now.
Okay.
I just like the taste of Red Bull. I like the carbonation. I like the taste. I like
the bubbles too. I drink the bubbles also. I'm all over the bubbles, but
be better. Take a nap instead. All right. So we wanted to talk about peptides today, which Tim believes is an 80s one-hit wonder group.
It was.
You're saying no.
83. That's the 7 point.
Yeah. So what are peptides?
All right, so peptides are a biggest craze. I wouldn't say now, but they've been for the past few years. So we got the biggest peptides out there are growth hormone releasing hormones, growth hormone releasing peptides. So that was our Sermorelin, Ipamorelin, CJC1295. A lot of the listeners who are on here will know these things. So these are things to boost our natural growth hormone. Then we had other peptides out there. So peptides is just a big category. And in that category, you got lots of different other things that peptides can be. BPC 157, body protection compound 157, came out of Croatia. Some people like to call it the Wolverine peptide. Healing. So a lot of these peptides all got banned by the FDA on September 29th of last year.
Why?
Why?
It must have been helping people.
My theory, or do you want to hear?
I want your theory. Yeah.
My theory that's big pharma flexing on the FDA that these compounding pharmacies are taking money away from big pharma, i.e., semaglutide and tirzepatide, the
Nailed
weight
it.
loss drugs, diabetic drugs.
Right.
So this is an easy way for them to say, oh, these are banned things. The FDA called HCG, which is human chorionic gonadotropin, that we use for women for infertility, but we also use it for guys coming off of testosterone. They banned that here about 3 or 4 years ago, calling it a biologic, which is a bunch of bull. So to me, they're just flexing onto the compounding pharmacies. It's just one thing more to take away from you. Now you're going to hurt them in the pocket. That's what it is.
And these peptides are probably, that they banned, were probably doing good things for people. And
100%. If you were into
off big
longevity, you were into these compounds. Definitely.
So how do you get them now?
Oh, that's the big thing. So there are lots of sites out there. So I'm not going to name specific sites because I don't want to get in trouble, but there's several sites out there that you're going to find peptides out there. And I've had a few clients recently go to these sites and buy some because they're desperate, for the lack of better words, because we only have some more left now. And they want to use other like TB500. They want to use CJC 1295. They want BPC 157. We can't get them. So there are companies out there who are producing them. What you need to know if you're going to buy this stuff is these are considered for research only, not human consumption. All right. Peptides are very fragile. You can't be shaking these things up. You'll denature the peptides. The peptides will fall apart inside there. They'll be useless to you when you inject yourself with these things. They're dirt cheap. So buyer beware on what you're buying, who you're buying it from. Is it a reputable source? Just know what you're now injecting yourself with some sterile compound in your body that you don't know how good this stuff really is. Yes, the stuff that was coming from compounding pharmacies was much more expensive, but you knew it was coming from a reputable place. It was shipped under ice overnight to you. You knew to put in the refrigerator soon thereafter. You knew that it was good stuff, good quality stuff. And that's one reason why I chose Wells Pharmacy out of Ocala, because they were IPS certified, International Peptide Society certified. So the big thing here is buyer beware. Don't just willy-nilly stick yourself with stuff that you don't. Because I'll give you an example. I went to donated blood last week at One Blood. They will ask you, have you been injecting yourself with drugs without supervision? All right. So technically, you're no different from an IV drug user when you're not getting it from a reputable source. That's the thing.
Yeah. Interesting. Very interesting. So if they want to find a place to get these things, they could probably have a private consultation with you, and you might be able to direct them in the right area.
Yeah, definitely. But we're only down to a couple of peptides left, unfortunately. Hopefully things change in the future. But for now, this is what we're dealt with.
Well, and there's so many of these things that people are having to go overseas to get now because our FDA keeps banning these things that are that are safe and helping people, much like they did with ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine.
I agree with you. Yeah. Stem cells, peptides, the gamut now. It feels like one thing after another each year that goes by.
Here in Texas, the big thing is to go down to Mexico to get stuff because it's just a drive away. I hear that from people all the time. I have friends that have gone to Mexico for elective surgeries right across the border, and that's where their doctor told them to go, and they work, whatever. I don't know. And they go down there for braces and to get drugs and whatever. I don't know what it is, but I've never been there.
Just got to be worried about Mexico. That is the number one place on earth for fake drugs. That's the downfall about that.
Right.
Yeah. So it's difficult to find the stuff that you need, but it's not impossible.
It's not impossible. No, unfortunately.
Well, Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. We can direct you in the right areas. Go to the website, get the phone number. You can even make your appointments right there.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Always good to chat with you, my friend. Thank you.
Go Bolts.
Chris Luca. Yeah, go Bolts tonight. Absolutely. We will be watching. That's just,
go Red Bull.
Go Red Bull. If you do your research, folks, and all of the reputable doctors that are coming out now and saying what happened during COVID and the people that were labeled as conspiracy theorists were 100% right. 1,000% right. And the damage that has been done by these horrific vaccines, helped some people, the high risk people. Absolutely. There was probably some place for these things, but for the most part, no bueno. And that's so, and again, this is not political, folks. This is science. You know, the one people that were called science deniers were not, and the people that I read, and people, you're not a doctor. I'm like, yeah, well, I can read what smart doctors are saying. I can listen to what really with highly qualified, smart doctors are saying, and I can say what they are saying. It's not my brain. It is their brain. They've been in the field for years and years and years, and they're saying something ain't right here, folks. Something ain't right. And, unfortunately, a lot of people were harmed.
Yep.
All right, partner, I know you got to go. You got to go do your thing. So I appreciate you. Thank you to everybody for listening and watching. We'll be back tomorrow to wrap up this game 2 against the Panthers and see if the Rays can actually score a run. See you then.